The ricochet, take it out to Pajemski. Curry for the lead. Got it! He's got 12 threes. He's got 48.
Steph Curry, at nearly 38 years of age, is averaging the most points he's had in over 5 years. In fact, it's his third most points per game of any season in his entire career, only behind his 2021 season and his legendary 2016 unanimous MVP season. If you're talking about pure scoring volume and efficiency, Curry is still producing at a level comparable to that year. So why are the Warriors so bad? I mean, it's hard to say a team that's still in the playoff race is bad, but with Curry having a resurgence of a year and the Warriors expending a ton of resources to help him out over the last couple years, with the Jimmy Butler trade, trading away Klay Thompson, and trying to develop their young guys to help him out. For some reason, this team has not clicked. Despite the team's efforts to launch a new era of Warriors basketball, everybody except for Steph Curry has no motivation to help him. It wasn't too long ago when the Warriors expected a smooth ride, as Steph Curry's prime fades away and a new generation takes over. But it's been the opposite. Curry is still playing just as well as he's ever had, yet everyone surrounding him has failed him. Let's take a look at what happened.
We have enough talent to be much better. We're losing all these close games, so I got to find a way to help these guys.
That's a big decision on our part to commit those kind of resources, unless you have somebody who's going to be there and available every single night. Until you change the way you go about doing the things that are necessary to win, whatever they are, those things are doing, if they aren't working, let's change. This is what Pat Riley said in regards to Jimmy Butler prior to his departure from the Miami Heat. He really wanted to keep him, offer him an extension, and perhaps even retire in Miami. However, Riley brought up concerns about not just his history of injuries and availability, but his effort in the regular season. This has been a rising trend since his last couple years in Miami, where it seems like he just phones it in and not give a crap. Despite being known as one of the NBA's greatest playoff risers, there have been times when Butler looks completely invisible on the court in games where he doesn't consider it a priority to try. He even mentioned in Miami he wasn't having fun anymore, and he wanted to get his joy back. So we thought this would change upon his arrival to Golden State, joining a team with a purpose to capitalize on Curry's last few years in the NBA, and Butler was supposed to be that secondary star to help him, perhaps even a 1A, 1B scenario where he could take over as the first option when the team needs him to. Initially, when the trade happened, Butler turned the franchise around. In the 30 regular season games with Butler after the deadline, the Warriors went 23-7 and became legit contenders. If it wasn't for Steph's injury, they had a chance of reaching the conference finals.
Checking that right arm. So Mr. Curry with the thumb wrapped.
And he's got the wrap on there. He's going to tape it up.
In theory, the team had a good thing going on. They had something to look forward to. And a few months ago, the only concern was whether or not Curry could recover from that thumb injury and return to form, which he did. Unfortunately, much like every team that Jimmy Butler has been on, the honeymoon phase ended pretty quickly, and fans started to realize why he's been blasted with all these accusations in the past. The conclusion is obvious: Butler does not care about the regular season. At a glance, his advanced metrics, his efficiency, and low turnovers are all elite aspects of his game that made him who he is. But the reality is, he's not taking the pressure off Curry like he's supposed to. Dude takes 11 shots a game. 11! His usage rate is lower than Jonathan Kuminga's and not much higher than Pat Spencer's. Sure, you could say he's also quite old as well, but it just looks like he's doing cardio out there for large periods of time. Now, Butler sometimes blows up and has an incredible game, but he also has stretches during the season where he's just non-existent and a complete non-factor, at the same time when an old Curry has been struggling to carry the offense by himself. The reason for this can be attributed to the way he plays the game. His lethal efficiency and decision-making is also a result of him being very picky and careful of what shots to take. There are times when he has the ball, he looks to score, realizes he can't get a good shot, and then passes it to someone else. If he can't get a good look and he can't draw a foul, he takes himself out of the offense for that possession. When it comes down to it, Butler is a passive player. He's been this way in every regular season for the last decade, and while it looks very good in the advanced stats, he needs to change. Now, this might be the most cliche statement that's been overused in every sport ever, but he just needs to be more aggressive. He needs to put more pressure on the defense and take more shots, even if they're not ideal shots, because when he does, it relieves so much burden off his teammates. Even the young guys will see more space to score when defenses are paying more attention to Butler. Right now, he spends so much time just standing there, while Curry gets all the attention. There's a reason why most of the players' contracts expire by the end of 2027, including Butler, Curry, and Draymond's. It means they have 2 more years of competing for the title. That's 2 more chances of winning the championship, and unfortunately, it looks like nobody else cares enough besides Curry. Of course, there's a possibility they could extend the window if they see potential in winning the title with this roster, but from the looks of it, I don't think so. Their young players have failed. Not every young player failed, but statistically, none of them contribute a positive net rating on the team besides Quentin Post. Even Brandon Podziemski is barely breaking even. Since 2020, they've had several first-round picks and even lottery picks that did not pan out how they expected. The major one being James Wiseman, a former number 2 pick. Apparently, the Warriors considered taking LaMelo Ball instead, who got drafted 3rd. If the Warriors did take LaMelo, Steve Kerr would have a huge headache coaching him. But LaMelo's skill set could be molded to fit within the Warriors system much better. The next one is Jonathan Kuminga, the 7th pick, a year later. They heavily considered Franz Wagner, who got selected by Orlando right after him. The Kuminga pick was very controversial among the coaching staff, as most of them didn't even want him. So looking at it now, there's no question Wagner was the better choice. Then you had Moses Moody in the same draft at number 14, with Şengün and Trey Murphy drafted at 16 and 17. Had the Warriors picked either of those two, their whole 2 timeline spiel might have actually worked. You can throw Jordan Poole in there as another failed experiment, even though, honestly, he had more success than any other young player the Warriors had. For all the praise they got for drafting and developing in the past, they've yet to recapture the glory they once had. It's actually been the opposite. There's a handful of teams in the league where the young players feel slighted and irritated with their place on the roster, and I feel like the most vocal have been on the Warriors. The result? They're left with players who've been struggling to fit into the franchise for years. Among all their young players, the biggest culprit is, once again, Jonathan Kuminga.
You're in constant communication with all the guys. How did Jonathan handle when you talk to him?
Yeah, all that stuff is private.
Do you think it's like a one-game thing, or do you think it's for the foreseeable future?
I'm not really sure.
If you haven't followed his situation since he entered the NBA, here's a quick summary. He wanted more minutes, Steve Kerr didn't trust him enough to give him more minutes. He wanted a max contract extension in the same vein as his draft mates, Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes. The Warriors did not think he was worth that. These 2 things, the lack of minutes and less money than he desired, were the 2 main catalysts for his frustration, and it finally boiled over. Kuminga has been in Steve Kerr's doghouse for pretty much his entire career, and this season is more evident than ever that Kuminga is incapable of taking the next step. To give him credit, in the beginning of the year he started off very strong. Kuminga averaged over 17 points a game in the first 2 weeks of the season, and he even got a substantial amount of playing time. For once in his life, well, maybe not for once, but for many times in his life, he gave off the impression he could be something more. Something more than just a disgruntled role player. It turns out this was yet another false flag. Kuminga regressed back to normal, and along with it came the DNPs, the fewer minutes, and the scolding from Steve Kerr, who realized he'll never be the player he wants him to be. We've already gone beyond the debate of whether or not Kuminga has a place on this franchise. It's over. It's done. He's gonna be traded when the Warriors find the right opportunity. The offense is just, it's so bad without Steph on the court. Here's what I mean. Steph is averaging nearly 30 points a game on over 65% true shooting percentage. In terms of volume and efficiency, he's in the top 1% in offensive production. The rest of the team, though? They're averaging 84 points a game on 56% true shooting percentage. In this day and age, that would register as the 2nd worst offense in the entire league without Curry. It's even more incredible when you consider how much Curry is getting double-teamed and triple-teamed and focused on defense. The idea that his teammates can't get anything going when their best player is smothered, that's ridiculous, and it truly shows how bad his supporting cast is. In the twilight years of Curry's career, the organization has failed to build a competent roster around him, and this is a wake-up call. The issue is the wake-up call too late? For half a decade, the Giannis trade rumors have never been more confident than right now. In the past, I feel like much of it was noise, cause the Bucks were still pretty good in the regular season. Usually when a Giannis rumor leaks, people believe his agent does it on purpose to pressure the Bucks into making trades to help him win. This time, however, it's different. Giannis has been kinda injured, but when he does play, the Bucks are bad. When he doesn't play, they might be the worst team in NBA history, and I'm not even joking. They lost by 45 points to the freaking Brooklyn Nets. For those following the Bucks for a while now, their descent from a championship team to barely hanging on by a thread was inevitable. It's been a slow, steady decline, but this season might be the final straw. With several teams rumored to be in the mix, including the Knicks, Heat, and Warriors, if you recall, the Warriors have been linked to Giannis for what seems like 3 or 4 years by now. The reasons are obvious. Giannis is the perfect superstar to pair with Steph. His gravitational pull on the perimeter mirrors that of Giannis in the paint, and the two of them would be unstoppable. With the Bucks floundering and finally looking to deal their superstar, and the Warriors also floundering and underachieving, they now made a monumental effort to get him. It started with a report by Jake Fisher, who claimed, quote, "The only player I think in the league that Golden State would be willing to move Draymond Green for would be Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's the only player. Between him and Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski, all of a sudden, Golden State probably does have an intriguing package if you're Milwaukee." But it wasn't only this statement that made people wonder, is Giannis to Golden State the inevitable reality? It was apparently somebody within the Warriors organization whom Fisher was close to, and that anonymous source claimed it very well could be a possibility. Since this is Giannis we're talking about, if you have to give up Draymond, then you do it. You have a Bucks franchise on the verge of collapse, along with a Warriors team that desperately needs one last push to the title under Curry's reign. You have to take the risk and hope it works out. Perhaps the organization saw the end was in sight, and instead of sitting around and letting it happen, they're making one last push. They're gonna squeeze every drop that's left in Curry's tank and try their absolute hardest to win another championship. Anyway, that's all folks. Let me know your thoughts on the Golden State Warriors' current situation and their current dilemma. How do you foresee the next 2 years playing out? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.